Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another day, another edition here of the RSL, the Rival StarCraft League Season 4 2026 Playoffs, day number 5 co-stream. I'm, of course, SI VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the Hulu chat, and, of course, by our hosts, Tasteless, State, Gemini, and Sturgeon, as they'll be joining us throughout the course of the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As we are here, we're back, we are live with the RSL Playoffs. Again, the RSL is a community-funded event. It's an online tournament featuring the best players in Korea and also in Europe as well. We did have some Europeans competing and playing to the point where we have our top 4. Sorry, we have our top 6. We have our top 6. As you can see here on the bracket, we do have Maro and Max Packs on the upper bracket. There are top 2 players in the upper bracket. And meanwhile, we do have the lower bracket matches tonight, featuring Trigger versus Cure and Bjorn versus Rogue. We have 2 series. 2 series tonight, pure best of 5s. Best of 5 between Trigger and Cure, best of 5 between Bjorn and Rogue. Tomorrow, there's only going to be 1 series. Tomorrow, it's just Maro and Max Packs. That's it. And then Sunday is going to be the final 3 matches in the lower bracket into the grand finals. So 3 days straight of RSL action, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Let's go, baby. Let us go. Also, if you want to help support the event and support the RSL, !RSL in the chat, there is a link to the RSL Patreon. The Patreon does fund the event and, of course, does support the event as well, so you can do so over on the RSL Patreon. Otherwise, we are getting ready here for the final week, the final weekend of RSL. We're here to crown our champion, baby. And we'll be starting things off with the lower bracket matches. Oh boy, we'll be catching up. I'm also a big shout out, of course, to Archon Studio, for, of course, bringing together, sponsoring the event and bringing together the StarCraft miniatures game, as pre-orders are currently open. I think they're about to close in a couple of days. I want to say like it's around like 12th of April-ish. So if you do want to pre-order, if you want to get some discounts on those pre-orders, then you can do so via their official website. And I believe they have partnered with with certain other sellers around the world when it comes to pre-orders. So you can do so. Again, I believe there's going to be a couple of videos shown on the RSL stream of them opening and constructing Zeratul. So they have done that. I have pre-ordered my starter set. I got my starter set on the way, papi. Let's go. Painting stream one day, maybe. We'll see, baby. We'll see. Meanwhile, yeah, they're just showcasing their own Patreon, their own different supporters. When it comes to their Patreon, it does also allow patrons to vote on what maps they want featured in the tournament, what maps and also what players as well. There was a Patreon fan vote and there was a Patreon map vote as well for what maps to bring in, what maps to take out, and what players to be invited in as well. So there are other benefits.
Support the show here. We've got RSL merch, we've got other
otherwise we're about to jump in. It's of course our second broadcast of the day. We were live earlier this morning with the OSC Elite Rising Star, and tomorrow we're going to be live with some Kung Fu Cup as well. It's been an intense week, papi. It's been a lot of catching up, a lot of StarCraft, as you can imagine, and we're gonna make it, man. We're gonna make it. I believe. It's been intense, but we will make it through. Otherwise, again, do check out the YouTube. We're just going all through all the things here. We have the YouTube channel for the RSL. We have the YouTube channel for the CranKy Ducklings as well. We do stream on YouTube at the same time. VODs are available on a daily basis. Plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft, plenty of VODs are there.
It does help get the word out there about the RSL.
Yeah, and we have our raffle for our posters. If you're an Immortal
true. They do have some posters for last season's finals. They look good.
We have not mailed them out, correct? Not yet. Okay, but we will be when we finish the raffle here. So there's only 50 of these. We signed each and every one of them. So those are going to be coming out here as well. And, of course, for 2026, we have a limited edition poster we'll be making as well as we get closer to the end of the year. Or I guess probably wrapping up.
Personally, I kind of wish they made the posters a little bit more available. Yes. But
amazing. It's huge as well.
They made it exclusive to Patreon.
Memorabilia. I know I'm going to get one of those posters. I'm going to put that up in my room, Tasteless.
And you need it, man. You want to get one. And honestly, the first year of RSL, it felt like a miracle. You guys came and you supported us. We got the studio built. We put on the show. Then we did the offline event. And it's like, oh, my God.
Oh, we have our players.
It worked.
Yeah.
And now it's just something we can do and we can share with you guys.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Vetoes are done. We have our Trigger. We have our Cure as well. We have our PvT. Game 1 is going to be on Celestial Enclave. Game 2 is going to be on Necropolis. Game 3 on the Old Republic, followed by Title Citadel and by 10,000 feet. Okay. We have mainly larger maps. I say that, of course, we have 10,000 feet at the end of the series. Necropolis is, I want to say, more of a macro-oriented map. I'm curious to see how our players will approach this here. I mean, it feels like our players are willing to go to the mid to late game. Looks like we might get a longer series. RSL so far, one of the biggest, I say issues, one of the biggest things about RSL this season, really fast games, a lot of cheese, a lot of aggression, a lot of all-ins, and very few macro games. It's been short broadcast days. That might change here though. Might finally change.
So I'm excited to see what they have in store for us here in this best of 5.
Okay.
Take it away.
So in this game, Cure in the bottom left and Trigger in the top right. Cure in the last several years.
Yeah, Cure representing Team Liquid. Trigger, of course, representing Basilisk. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat. Coming into this, I do lean towards Cure, but at the same time, you know, Trigger, he's our boy, right? He's been improving quite a lot over the past couple of months, and I don't want to count him out. I do know that Trigger, he had a bit of a lackluster performance earlier in the tournaments, but I'm hoping he can recover here.
It's kind of hard to get anybody who's going to bubble up to the surface when you've got players like Cure or Maru or all the rest of the guys who are so strong here. So I think this should be a fun match going forward. Trigger's going to send his probe out across the map immediately. Cure has gone for tech. Probably this is going to be tech into expand unless we have some surprises.
Yeah, just a one-gas opening here for Cure, so likely going to be a very fast expansion. And I wonder whether either of these players are going to be taking.
Like Taste is like, oh, we're probably going to get tech into expand, and then State's like, yeah, we went one gas, so it's going to be faster CC, which is true. Like it is going to be more of an economic build, single gas opener.
More and more have just been favoring taking the full mineral expansions, even though they are a little bit more risky.
Take his hand, State. Take his hand. You can do it.
I think there's some interesting ideas to that. Obviously, on a map like this, you can scout their pocket base, right? But you can also prevent them from scouting that if you put a little bit of effort into denying that. And, you know, if it's not clear when they took their third and you can hide it, you could do something even sneaky, like do a 2-base timing push when they assume that you're just going to take that free base. So there's definitely some mind games here. I wouldn't even mind seeing a map where you have a pocket base, but there's no way to scout it as easily. And just kind of see what strategies that creates.
I mean, that has existed before.
Yeah, I think Celestial Enclave is the first map to actually feature these worker-only pads, though. And I'm excited for the next Team Liquid map contest because I really want to see what map makers can do with some of these new tools. And
is this obviously this isn't the first map in the TLMC that has used mineral worker pods, but maybe the first one that hit the ladder. Maybe.
So we've got the first Reaper coming in now. And
like I'm still thinking of a Talisman, for example. True.
The Adept is just stalking it here. The Stargate's about halfway done.
Oh, yeah, Stargate opener out of Trigger. Not normal, by the way. The Reaper could have gone for a scout. Does he get behind the mineral line? Oh, he does not.
I felt like he could have maybe gotten one there.
I thought he was going to scout the Stargate. He still doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
Oh, I'm so glad you pointed that out. I hadn't even noticed that. Yeah, you're right. He's completely missed the Stargate.
Yeah, Tasteless. We got to lock in, Paddy. Okay, we got to.
2 pylons, and so here he didn't quite dive deep enough with that Reaper. I guess he didn't want to risk losing it to the Adept, but he could have gone in towards that mineral line and just seen the full aura range, the power field of the pylon. If he had just gone a little bit closer to that assimilator, he would know it's a Stargate because this is a little bit off the beaten path in PvT. People almost always go Twilight. That used to be for Blink. Now oftentimes it's Charge first in the Blink. But Trigger just going straight into the Phoenix.
So very quickly here, jumping into this, when it comes to these Stargate openers, they're a little bit more common when it comes to larger maps. So think of Winter Madness, think of Celestial Enclave, think of sometimes even Ruby Rock. Sorry, not Ruby Rock, I would just say Old Republic. So this is not unusual, but it is uncommon in that sense, right? And it is important that Cure scouts, and Cure, he failed to scout. We have Phoenix is backing up the main base. Cure is getting ready for a wood mine drop, and this might just hard counter and completely shut down the mine drop because he's going to go in unaware as to what's waiting for him in the main base. Right now, Trigger, he wants to wait to reveal his hand once the wood mines do arrive to be able to trade as efficiently as possible, then bam, counterattack and deal some economic damage.
I guess one of the most common
PvP
builds you see, right? Like as you were saying earlier, like we see Stalker with Blink and Robo a lot more often. We also know that Cure, I feel like this guy always Widowmine drops. Every game.
He loves Widowmine drops.
Yeah.
He loves aggressive maneuvers, just no matter what they are. It's either a Widowmine drop or it's like a siege tank push with 3 barracks and no starport.
Right.
Oh man, this pylon not being done yet means it doesn't actually have the vision to spot this, but he might have actually just seen it somewhere
Shuts it
else.
down.
The Phoenix are going to intercept this. Medevac gets taken out.
And we spoke about it. Cure, he played blind. Mind drop gets shut down.
How did he know that was there?
He must have just glimpsed of the Adept or something, but...
Yeah, or maybe he knows that a lot of times you use the Hellion to basically like scout for
that could also be it.
The medevac drops, you're like, oh, he's coming from this side because the Hellion, like why is there a lone Hellion, you know, scraping the very side of the map here?
I mean, if they're asking why the Phoenixes were outside of the naturals, because there's a spot of pylon outside of the main. Like this, there's a pylon covering there, so he has time to react back.
On that, and, you know,
so he could just be at the natural.
He doesn't always do damage with those Widowmine drops. A lot of times, like they each kill 1 or 2 probes, and maybe he loses a Widowmine. But that did literally nothing. Like he lost 2 Widowmines and a medevac for free.
Yeah, Trigger basically accomplished what the objective of the early game build was, which is to secure a very fast 3rd base.
And the goal here should be to go for the bait, to go into Phoenix Colossus, so far picking up an SCV and delaying some of the production, and containing Cure. That's the goal here for the Phoenixes, contain.
That up with ease, and now he's able to really build up his economy. 3rd base is going to be done in just a moment. Twilight Council now finished. Charges getting researched. We have the Robo Bay nearly done as well. And so the composition for Trigger in a couple of minutes is going to be a ton of Charge Zealots, an Immortal or 2, and then the Colossi. And that's right around the time that Cure should also be power spiking. But Trigger's just going to be, I think, a little bit bigger because those Phoenix are able to get him all of this control in the early game.
I think it's important to, like, emphasize on what they just said, and what I mean by that is that because these Phoenixes are containing Cure, because there's no threat of counterplay or drop play specifically, Trigger can cut corners. He can delay warp-ins. He can delay warp-ins, go for extra gateways, go for faster upgrades, get your 3rd base up and running, get your 4th base on the way as well. Like, you can cut corners knowing that you should be safe, but Cure does move out as the Phoenixes moved into the main. Here he comes. It's a big risk here, but Cure, he needs to find some damage.
Here. And so sometimes a 2-base push, in my opinion, can be one of the stronger moves against early.
And Trigger, he just saw.
There's no way
he just saw the push.
To really deal with like a massive amount of
double jump into the main.
They're better at kind of harassing and picking off drops.
Cure going for a split push. There's a recall.
Drop now going
and can Trigger hold on?
Here at Trigger that will be heading into the main
Has he been
base.
too greedy?
Recalled back home.
He might have.
Here also attacking the 3rd right now with a bit of bio. Marines just completely vacating the main mineral line. So
yeah,
4 probes going down, a lot of lost mining. I don't even know if we have enough warp-ins here for Trigger to actually clean this up. He is able to parry the attack at the 3rd base, but Widowmine's also getting good shots in. Honestly, if
Colossus are exposed
right now, I think you just take down those 2 Colossi.
Yeah, they're exposed. He can dive in. He can dive. He will. Oh my god.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I thought he was just going to do one big push at the front, but the drop just separated what Trigger needed. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. It separated the army to where really the weakness was just exposed there. He's gonna
at this point, Curie's done it. He's just snowballing out of control. He breaks Trigger. He pulls him apart. Again, winding it back. It was a big risk for Cure to push across the map while the Phoenixes were distracted. We spoke about how Trigger, the role of the Phoenixes were to keep Cure contained, and he failed to do so. He failed to contain the Terran. Cure, it was a big risk, but he did sneak out across the map, but he just pulled Trigger apart. We spoke about it. Trigger, who was being greedy. He was skipping warp-ins. He was focusing on building up. I don't blame him, but he did miss the move out, and that did cost him the game.
We're going to be on the map with a Phoenix to deal with any drops, but he caught Trigger being a little bit greedy with the Phoenix positioning.
Yeah, they got
2
there.
medevacs into the main base.
They got there. It's all good.
With a double drop, and everything just kind of started falling apart.
Yeah, and it's not that Trigger can't recover, but it's going to be hard. A lot of times when you see a whole wave of robo units wiped out, Colossi, Immortals, but even like, you know, War Prisms and a couple of Observers, stuff like that, it really does hit like a big reset button for Protoss. They've got to start to rebuild that. And in this game, he only has 1 Robo. Not that he's supposed to have 2, but obviously it just takes so long to increment that all out. And I'm worried that the second wind up and attack.
So what they're getting at here is that just because of the way the production works for Protoss, specifically when it comes to high-tech units, losing all your Colossus like that, not just that, but losing the economy, I would say that's more important. He lost, what, 30 probes? Like 30 workers went down. Like that was critical damage. It takes so long to rebuild, and right now Trigger is spending all of his resources rebuilding what he lost instead of Cure, who's building up towards a second wave, towards a stronger army, towards a more efficient army as well. We got two upgrades on the way. We got a second push moving out. I would say that Cure has to calm down a little bit here when it comes to frontal assaults, but Cure is in a very strong position.
I I think Trigger right now, he's going to be leaning heavily on the 3 sentries for Force Field to try and really bisect this army, just separate it in half, isolate a couple of Marauders so that he can take little bits and chunks of the bio away. Otherwise, I'm worried he's going to get kited into oblivion here.
Yeah, you can see he's trying to bait him into that mine.
I still haven't played the remaster.
Here, right? Okay, but he knows. So. He sees what's happening. Okay, so he.
When did that come out?
Right now, Kira 156 supply.
God, we just have no time. We're just casting too much StarCraft. One day, Pappy, one day.
Now for Cure, Vikings growing in numbers, and I think once he gets enough of these Vikings on the map, he can just go, because Trigger, he's adding in even a second robotics now. It's really just these Robobay units that are his DPS. Besides that, he has a couple of Zealots, a couple of Stalkers, but no Forge upgrades. The first Forge just now started here for Trigger, so
yeah, this is
in terms
so
of
bad.
damage, there's so little.
I think the basic...
So touching on what they're kind of getting at here is that, again, Trigger, he's far behind when it comes to upgrades itself, when it comes to production. Trigger is now working towards disruptors, and technically this is a way to recover. You can be down 20-30 supply and you can make up for that with some well-placed Novas. Obviously it's not reliable, it's a big risk, it's a big gamble, but I mean that's what Trigger has to do in this position, right? Because he's so far behind, you have to try to take some risks. I would like to see some War Prism harass, I'd love to see some Zealot run-bys, some attempted aggression across the map, timed with Cure's push, and of course trying to rely on those disruptors as well. There is a chance, but again, it is a very slim chance. In a sense, we're kind of hoping, or Trigger's hoping, that Cure makes mistakes. Right? He's hoping that Cure makes mistakes, that Cure does slip up, and in doing so, tries to capitalize on those mistakes.
The gateway units here for Trigger are not going to be pulling their weight.
Okay, beautiful EMP. It hits like literally every unit that's there. Disruption shot, good dodge there from Cure. That could have cost him everything. But Cure is going to advance on this position here, and we're in between disruptor shots. One more Colossus goes down. And Colossi getting focus fire down.
Raising the army.
Going into the natural expansion.
Oh, Nova goes up.
Ooh, good
the
split
one
there
goes.
by Cure. It is able to catch one of
He lays the Vikings. He's going for it. The Nova.
It's going to connect on a lot of bio, but there's just so much left.
Yeah, it's not enough. GG.
GG is called, and Cure's going to take game number 1 here in this best of 5.
That was insane. Cure just like so strong back there.
GG, well played. Again, it was a big risk, a big gamble. What did this come down to? This came down to Cure's push. In the face of all these Phoenixes, in the face of this supposed map control, he was able to sneak out on the right-hand side, get across the map, and that was on Trigger for failing to spot the move out. He was supposed to have gained map control. He decided to go into the main base for some economic damage. He got some SCVs, like 2 or 3 SCVs, but that did allow Cure to get across the map, to get into the main base, to split apart the army of Trigger. GG. GG, well played. He was torn apart, and with that Cure, he does claim the first game, and we'll see how our players do adjust coming to game number 2. Meanwhile, Chesh in the chat. Felices, papi, felices. Bienvenidos. Shema.
I mean, that was perfectly played by Cure. The one weakness that you have there with the Phoenix opening is that you just don't have a lot of firepower on the ground for a long period of time. And so as Trigger, you kind of need to rely on the static defense of the third base with the shield batteries. You also need to rely on the Phoenix being able to intercept medevac drops like that. But Cure was able to catch Trigger with the Phoenix on Cure's side of the map and just shimmy 2 medevacs right into the main base.
I wonder why he didn't get it Forges at all until it was very late. Like, normally you see a game like that and you go, okay, well, something's prompt. Like, is he going to try to all in from here or what? I don't know why you'd go Phoenixes and then just not have the upgrades, because you're not going to be viable at all if you don't.
I bet the timing was intended to be a lot quicker, but he knew that he was in such dire straits that if he didn't pour everything into just getting the probes back to the third base and the main base resaturated and building an army, he's going to die.
I feel like sometimes Protoss just get the Forge before that attack happens, but maybe the idea from Trigger was he actually wants to come out and just
let's go Trigger.
Really,
does no doubt.
Early with a push, but instead he ended up losing 2.
But yeah, I gotta back up state a little bit here. So Tasus, he's harping a little bit on the fact that, like, Trigger, why did he get his Forges so late? I mean, the reason why he got his Forges so late was because he had taken critical damage. He was going Phoenix Colossus, going into Colossus production, building up into the mid game, eventually into Forges. But the reason why they were so delayed is because of all the earlier losses that he sustained with his economy and with his Colossus, of course. And State was trying to say that in a nicer way. He was he was trying to like pull him in that direction. Meanwhile, does he scout? No, he does. No.
Oh no! So Trigger's gonna cancel 1 gateway, and he's gonna try and play a normal game out of this.
Trigger.
Uh-oh. There's nothing worse than when they spot it while it's warping in.
Not like this.
Well, now you know my plan.
I think it's a smart move against Kira because Kira can be quite greedy with the SCV scout in a lot of games. He will not do it sometimes in TvP, and you can just get away with a proxy gateway and basically just win the game outright if Kira's a little bit too greedy with
So running it back, it was going to be a proxy 2 gate, double Zealot into double Stalker to apply pressure, punish a greedy build, and overwhelm. Kira scouts, so he does force a cancel, and Kira can just settle in.
I mean, you'll definitely experience this like in ladder or something, right? There's all sorts of scumbag builds like this, but he's going to come down now, and you know, this can really throw the whole game off. You're extremely vulnerable when this doesn't hit with a surprise, you know? And so Trigger's going to expand behind it. Trigger's got to be careful. I mean, his only infrastructure for attacking units is out in the middle of the map. The bunker's going to be done. StarCraft 2 Zealots, when they're not upgraded, are almost totally useless. Like, it's really hard, unless you were going to cheese, you know, like he was going to do in this game. It's really hard to do anything with them, you know.
It's delaying.
They're not fast. They can be kited. And I guess this is the best you can ask for here with the Zealot, is like to try to...
I gotta step in. So Trigger, the reason why he left one gateway finishing, and I think that's kind of what Tasteless is like questioning. He was like, why did he even let it finish? Why is he making a Zealot instead of trying to set up back at home? I mean, he was already committed. He was already so delayed to try to get a delayed gateway back at home instead. As you can see, this Zealot, what's he doing? He's delaying the CC, right? He's delaying the CC even here coming in. The SCV almost does go down, actually. So nice pick off. So again, Trigger, he's making the best out of a bad situation, delaying the economy, but more importantly, delaying Cure. All these units could be moving out across the map, but they're stuck at home, dealing with the Adept, dealing with the Zealot, allowing Trigger to attempt to macro. Don't get me wrong, Trigger is in a rough position, but like, he has to be this aggressive, he has to be this assertive, otherwise there's nothing to stop Cure from moving out. And if he moves out, I mean, that's game.
Especially interested when I watch pro players play and the cheese is spotted. How exactly do they play it? Because there is a right way to play a bad situation. You know what I'm saying? Even though you a lot of times look at games, you go, okay, well, here's where you lost. Your cheese got spotted or your attack failed. A lot of times I like to see how a pro looks at it and goes, well, this is the best bet to try to get yourself out of this hole. You know what I'm saying?
Similarly, I'm really interested in what Kira's going to do, because this is one of those games where, at least in the early game, he just has the complete picture of what his opponent is doing.
Yeah.
What their handicaps are going to be, and how is he going to respond to this? Right now, it seems like just the only deviation really is building the bunker on the low ground.
I like how they have different perspectives here. I would probably agree with State here in the sense that, like, Kira, what's he doing? Well, he's working towards his Cyclone, working towards his medevac. With the arrival of the medevac, he can move out. He can start to move out. He can start to be aggressive, as we're seeing here. Fight for map control and then force Trigger back home. Trigger doesn't really have much back at home to defend. Brutal lock on here. One Stalker does get picked off. The Adept as well, down to 2 Stalkers.
Where you have that infrastructure push. This is the problem.
Ooh,
Okay, he
gets a
actually
Cyclone?
gets the... Oh,
Okay.
you know what?
Wow.
That shouldn't have happened.
If you lose the Cyclone, you've lost everything. Basically, the Marines are here to kind of be a meat shield. And then the Cyclone, it's basically superior at fighting compared to the Stalkers. But that shut down. Anyways, what I was saying a second ago is that you see this infrastructure push, right? This is where you're going to hit the gateway in the middle of the map, and a lot of times you can push after that. But Trigger had a pretty big victory there. He basically fought back really well. And now Trigger has to try to stay active out here. He can try to shark around the map as much as he can. He's going to take a third base, so he's not committed into like any kind of 4-gate. Let's blink in the main with a Warp Prism. Let's try to end the game that way, which I think would have also been a fine way to play. But instead, he's going to go for a macro play. He's going to try to defend that gateway as much as possible. He's going to get a third gate, a third Nexus up is what I meant to say. But, you know, the drop could be very punishing. This will at least force a recall.
Yeah, is there going to be a recall available in the main base? How much energy?
Yeah, the medevac studio get in. He's going for economic damage. Again, he does not have stim. There's the recall.
So
should
those
just
Blink
pick up.
Stalkers, the 2 Marines is getting left out here. Unfortunate for them. Weren't even able to take down a pro.
And behind this, working towards stim, building up the tanks. Cure should be pushing on 2 bases. But until then, we're just chilling.
I don't mind his position much at all. I feel like Cure losing the Cyclone there when he pushed into the gateway with all those Stalkers and the Adept. That should have been a win for Cure, but the Cyclone is just so important in that fight. Maybe it was a mistake not to push out before the medevac, before he can, you know, pick up units like the Cyclone to dodge the Stalker shots. But in any case, now Trigger has a lot of Stalkers here in the middle of the map, and Cure wants to push He has 3 barracks. He has no third command center. But I don't think he's going to be able to get there. He has too many stalkers at Kai. And the blink forward by Trigger, able to snipe.
Catches the on siege.
Tank. I don't know why he's pushing out here at all. This is like a great way to basically lose the game, is to like siege up with a tank and no, you know, no way to get out, basically, right? Like, you know, no stims done. Like, why would you move out now?
I feel like he just didn't expect Trigger to have quite so much. And
I mean, he got a Stalker initially. Like, he just got caught on siege.
He forced a recall. He thought, okay, you're not going to be here at all now. But, like, you know, when you have slow Marines and tanks sieged up, if you can't retreat. So, like, now you're stuck here. Now you have to, like, literally win or die on this hill, you know?
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit sloppy there by Kier. Kier's going to keep this Raven out here.
Like, it was risky, I would say that. It was risky for Kier, but remember, Kier, like, he was initially winning that engagement. It was just he got caught on siege. Like, when he on siege, that's when Trigger was able to pounce in. You could definitely argue that Kier, he gave Trigger an opportunity he didn't need to. And this is really good for Trigger because he's getting these small incremental wins. He denied the drop in the main base. He caught the first tank outside of the natural as well. Like, these are nice little wins that Trigger does need getting into a longer game state.
And the game's quieting down a little bit. Kier is still building up towards a push. Oh, man. Doesn't quite get that medevac.
Yeah, nice save there. And he really wants to just
Stim
kill
is done.
this gateway off here. And so he's finally going to get it. Again, you know, we're far enough along in this game. This doesn't really matter. It's going to be a Zealot warp in here. Or, okay, yeah, it is going to be that. I was like, it's the old one Zealot worker harass.
Trigger's watching, might be able to dodge these Widowmine shots.
Is he gonna get both? Nope. One hit away.
Nice.
Okay, nice dodge.
Micro by Trigger, and again, this is
Curie turns around back home to defend. This will delay.
End the game because he's still on 2 bases. There is no third command center here for Cure. Trigger has been on 3 bases for quite a while now, and he has been probing up. He is basically just hunkered down on all the mineral patches, and he's building an army to crush the push of Cure. And any seconds that he can buy is gold. And I think Cure might be realizing that his window right now is just closing.
Ooh, throws away the
He's
Raven.
been able to buy too much time, so he's going to throw down the 3rd CC.
Yeah, so he's going to try to do a push here. And this is going to get
So Trigger, he caught the Raven. That's another small win for Trigger. He just spots the army with the Zealots. Trigger he sees, and can he catch the army on siege? He's going for it. He's going for the dive.
I mean, he should have enough, right?
Yeah, Widow Mines don't even get to burrow. And the Zealots are going to peel right on back. Really good fight here.
Yeah, Cure's overextending. Cure's overextending. Now we have Colossus. Cure shouldn't be here at this point.
Blink on cooldown, and
he has to get. He has to back up.
Again. Looks like he's antsy.
He has to get out of here.
Fight. Blinks forward. Not quite able to snipe that medevac.
Okay, so
Cure's getting up.
You got to be careful here. Is Cure? There's enough stalkers you can't just pick up, right? The stalkers will blink under. Same time, you don't want to overextend. This is Trigger going on to his 4th base about to finish, where the 3rd command center is going to be landing.
So from here, at this point, from the earlier losses that Trigger had, he's recovered, I would say. Like, at this point, he's recovered. Like, now we have a back and forth. Trigger, he's built up to Colossus. Now it's going to be in Trigger to potentially delay the 3rd base, and Cure is going to be stuck at home. The game is going to slow down. We're slowing things down. We're turtling up. We should be seeing a missile turrets, sensor towers, more CCs, more bunkers.
Because eventually you're going to be so big the Terran can't kill you. And so... and Cure, in some ways, put himself in this position by trying to be, I think, a little bit too in the Protoss's face post-failed proxy.
Oh. Another drop coming into the natural expansion here of Cure. Bio's going to stand back to try and deal with it. This doesn't create an
like how State doesn't even address what Taysa just said.
He's looking for a position here between the natural and the 3rd base. Big stim. Oh, man,
he blinks in. Wait, what?
Now, able to focus fire down one of these siege tanks. Widowmine shot.
He blinked into the army. That was so many stalkers going down.
Too much bio here for Trigger to handle. Did he bite off more than he could chew?
Oh my God.
Hero, was that you?
The Protoss army
Hero, get out of here.
Oh my God! What exactly happened back there?
He blinked in.
It seemed like he I guess he thought he had the right angle, but excuse me. Cure's so good in these moments. Trigger's basically winning for almost the entirety of this game.
Yeah.
And, you know, that one overextension melted everything that he had.
I mean, it was just the perfect fight there for Cure.
Yeah, and now the Terran's going to try to come and slice.
So winding it back, Trigger, he did a great job when it came to recovering after being behind the entire game. But we saw that Trigger, he did misjudge. He blinked into the army. It was crazy. He blinked into the stimmed Marauders. Like, it was insane. With that, Trigger, he lost all his Stalkers. He bled out his Zealots. Like, it was a really, really rough fight there for Trigger. Now everything just snowballs out of control. Cure is going for a massive counterattack. He breaks the Colossus. He breaks through.
I think Trigger might just be able to stabilize right now with the photon cannon and the shield batteries, but Cure has so much production, and there's not a lot of damage here with this Protoss army.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, Trigger has to hold this. He's going to sack all of his probes to tank damage. There's still enough. A few more Terran units trickle in. A Liberator sets up shop. A second one comes in here as well. The infantry are almost entirely thinned out, but the Colossus is now zoned away. The rest of the infantry are going to dive up to the north. They're going to hit this Nexus, and remember, the next target is just one screen away to the right.
The Nexus is going to get taken out. Cure equalizing the economies now.
Oh, he'd actually, I'm sorry, you know, I was watching.
He doesn't know.
I guess we saw that, and I didn't register it in my brain. He doesn't actually know there's a base, so he might think that he's 3 base to 2 base right now.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like,
yeah.
Like,
okay,
Trigger's
so
just, sorry, Cure's just going to kill anyway. Like, Cure is still committing.
Man,
He breaks a third.
that.
Blink forward by Trigger, able to take down one of these Liberators. He might even get the
Oh,
second
oh,
one there on the
Zealot.
retreat. Oh, the Zealot, yeah.
Zealot comes like nothing to see here. Goes back. Now, did he actually? Okay, now he sees Zealots coming from that side. He should suspect there's something up there.
Yeah, I think he should have a very good idea that there's another expansion, but for now, he's going to be falling back, and Trigger's still just sitting. Okay, does take a 4th gas. He's still playing a very low eco game, and the second starport really is going to cause some problems here for Trigger if Cure starts incrementing out Liberators, because
Well, I mean,
Trigger has enough gas to get forge upgrades.
Trigger's pretty all in. Trigger's pretty all in at this point. Trigger, he's down in workers, he's down in economy, he's even on bases, which means that he's behind. Cure, that's why he has such a big disparity when it comes to supply. He's building up. There's nothing pressuring Cure to push out. He doesn't have to hit that top right base. Like, he's chilling. He's chilling, building up a greater army, and hitting a 2-2 timing instead.
700 more minerals a minute right now for Trigger.
Like, there's no pressure on
Cure
Cure.
might need to lift one of these CCs. Okay, we know he does have one more finishing between the natural and the third.
Okay. Well, Trigger's going to try to stabilize here. He's going to send this Warp Prism in. There's actually Marines unloading right here. Well, this is funny looking. Okay. Well, Trigger's attack has been totally thwarted. And again, you know, now we're in the phase where there are a lot of Vikings coming out. I guess he's got one starport with a reactor, unless the second one is not active. But, you know, there's enough Vikings here. Look, I mean, there's like more Vikings than there are Stalkers on the ground. And, you know, while both the Colossus and the Viking are kind of slow units, I mean, the reality is the Vikings, especially with the larger terrain that the Colossus can't walk over, it's going to be a lot of damage on this Colossus. So,
But yeah, this is why, like, I didn't think it was necessary to put any attention to the fact that Cure didn't know about the top right base, because it doesn't matter. Like, it's like he's still far enough ahead. He's still dominating these fights. He seems on forward. He did get one of the Colossus. There's one Colossus remaining, but there's just nothing on the ground. There's no support, and the final Colossus does fall.
yeah, GG. Wow.
GG.
Okay.
Oh, that was a roller coaster of a game number 2, honestly.
I enjoyed it. Eventually, we got to get like you know, some kind of a recap thing here for RSL, because that's like a moment where I didn't expect the fight to be lost like that badly.
You mean the push into Cure's third base?
That push to Cure's third base.
He blinked in.
It just seemed like he leaned in a moment where it was like he got his head bit off. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, that was a decapitation. It was pretty insane, and I kind of understand where Trigger was coming from, because he was playing a 3-gas style, and so, you know, we were talking about previous RSLs, the way that Protoss players would kind of expand across the entire map, and they would fill out their tech tree and become all powerful. Trigger wasn't really doing that. He was still staying on a low probe count. He would just take the expansion so that he's always mining minerals efficiently. He was like 60-something workers, and he only stayed on 3 gas, so he can't afford Storm. He can't really afford a second Forge for upgrades. He's building a lot of Zealots, is basically what he's doing. And so he's angling for a timing attack, and he thought with the Warp Prism that he was opening up a window to do it. And perhaps He was, but Kier's positioning was just so good.
Yeah.
That Trigger could not break through into that third base. The entire army gets toppled.
Kind of. I think I would push back against the kind of framing that they're going for here. So winding it back, if you recall, Trigger. Sorry, winding back when it comes to the game itself. Trigger, he was in a rough position. Trigger, he was behind. He went for a failed proxy. He ended up losing map control very early on as well. And it was really impressive to see Trigger recover. I want to give credit to Trigger there. He did a great job catching the tank in the center, catching out the Raven as well, deflecting the initial drop. Like Trigger, he was recovering in that game, and we were building up in towards the mid game. I do see a comment in the chat. Trigger seemed to he didn't hear you saying the game was about to slow down. I mean, the game was about to slow down, and then Trigger committed into the third, and by committed, he blinked into the army. It was crazy. He blinked forward into the siege line, into the Stim Marauders, and he lost all of his Stalkers. Bearing in mind that Stalkers are the backbone of your army, you want Zealots to lead the charge typically. The only time you ever want Stalkers to blink in is to catch medevacs or to maybe focus on some tanks, but he blinked into Marauders. So it felt like maybe Trigger, he misjudged the situation, misjudged how much he was pushing into, and he lost everything in the process there. And the game did kind of end then and there, unfortunately. Trigger, like, he had just taken too many losses. As they kind of alluded to a little bit, Trigger, he wasn't really, he didn't have the economy behind it to try to recover or to tech up from there. It was just too heavy a loss, and GG. GG, well played. With that, Cure is up 2-0, and we're hoping for a back and forth. We're hoping for a game 4 and a game 5, but Cure is on match points. One more game, and Cure will claim the series. So best of luck to our two players here. We're going to be going on a short break. When we come back, we'll have game number 3 between Cure and Trigger. See you soon. See you soon. Bye. See you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to the lower bracket quarterfinals here of the RSL, the Revival StarCraft League Season 4 Playoffs Day number 5. We are here, we are back, and we are currently mid-series. Currently, Cure is up 2-0. He's up 2-0 versus Trigger. This is a best of 5, and we are hoping that we get a longer series, right? I'm hoping for a back and forth. I won a game 4, I won a game 5, but the pressure is on Trigger, and we'll see if we can bring it back. Next up is going to be Old Republic. That is going to be game 3. We'll see if Trigger can recover and make a series out of this. Again, I will say that Trigger had opportunities in that last game, but it was also a really rough start. If you remember, Trigger, he began with a proxy 2 gate, and he got scouted, and he got shut down, and Trigger had to fight so hard to even recover and bounce back in that game, and he was for the most part able to. Like, I was very impressed by that, but even then, we saw Trigger just pressured to push in, did overextend, took a bad fight. GG. But here we go, getting into game number 3.
Whereas I look at Cure as someone who's kind of stronger in the first 5 to 8 minutes, you know, doing these early pushes. So maybe if Trigger can kind of ride out the early game, get into a good position, he'll be able to fight back here. The map is going to be Old Republic. You got Cure down here in the bottom left and Trigger in the top right.
Yeah. Shout out to Cure representing Team Liquid, Trigger representing Basilisk. As we load into the Old Republic is a bit of a larger map in the map pool, larger map, but it has a very exposed 4th base and a bit of a more open 3rd as well. Does often lead to 3 base aggression, but we'll see how our players do mix things up.
But of course, he has a ton of builds, he can do a ton of different things, and also Cure might do something crazy. You know, we've seen him do Widowmine drops, standard Terran play, but he can pull out some wild stuff as well. Right now, it's just a single gas for him as he gets the barracks online.
Sooner or later, someone is always bound to overstep in a fight, but Trigger seems generally more fond of letting Jesus take the wheel. No, I don't know, but I don't think so. Like, when I think of Trigger, I think of someone who's a little bit more mid-game oriented. We had, to be fair, recently, when I say recently, I mean like maybe over the past couple of months. You know what? This year, I'll say that this year so far, Trigger has been more aggressive than he has in the past, where, especially in PvP, we've been seeing a lot of cheese out of Trigger, a lot of aggression, a lot of all-ins, and even in some of these more preparation-based matches, we have seen some more kind of like aggressive and assertive builds out of Trigger with a lot of timing attacks. Like, we've been seeing a lot of intentionality out of Trigger as of late. So I will say that that is true as of late, but at the same time, like, I don't know if that has much to do with last game. Like, last game, like, I don't know, like, Trigger, like, maybe it's also just because of the game state, because he was playing from behind for so long that, like, Trigger felt the need to, like, attack, and he felt too far behind. Obviously, he doesn't know that, he doesn't see what we see, and I at least felt like there was the opportunity to try to drag things out into a longer game and not be in a bad position. It's kind of hard to say, but hopefully we can, like, calm things down a little bit here, and we'll see how Trigger approaches game 3.
You have some options once you do go into Blink, so we'll see what he's cooking up. Going to be a reactor down on the barracks here, as well as the factory going up, reaping out Just goes past that shade, so he knows the Adept is in the main. Trigger actually finishes the shade.
Yeah, I'm surprised he finished that. The Stalker is about 60% done, but this Reaper, I think, is going to at least get a lot of mining time and maybe even a probe or two. No, he is going to pull back. Doesn't want to test it.
Behind this going to be a Twilight Council open out a trigger, so we're calming down. And fun fact, for the first time this series, we're playing Standard. for the very first time this series, we're playing Standard. Remember, Game 1 was Stargate, Game 2 was Proxy, now Game 3, Twilight Council first. On the flip side, we have Cure going for an economic opener into a 1-1-1. We'll keep an eye on Cure.
Yeah, he's got some of the best blink control in the business,
Yes.
although he has been favoring Charge a lot recently in PvT, so it could be either. The way the minerals and gas are looking, though, I am leaning towards Blink just like you. We'll see how this is going to go. What is the tech going to be? It's Blink.
Yeah, Charge is rare. Charge you often see on smaller maps. I wouldn't expect to see Charge on Ultra Holic. Wouldn't expect it.
Right now.
Yeah, Cure just going to be saturating
usually more
natural
map dependent.
expansion in a moment as the orbital is all finished.
Yeah, we have a Cyclone follow-up here as well. That worked well in the last game, able to take out that proxy gateway eventually. Going to pick off a Marine here, and backup is the Adept. More Marines come down to the natural, so we'll be safe for the moment.
Yeah, and I think Trigger's going to be eyeing a third base in just a moment as well. He's going into additional gateway, adding in the robotics facility here on the low ground. He seems well postured to take another expansion, but I say that and he takes another gas he throws down at the gateway. Maybe he's sniffing out a little bit of aggression here from Cure because,
So
it could go that way. He definitely wants to get this Reaper.
Trigger, he's going for a bit of a safer build. As the Reaper goes in, it is going to be so far 3-gate blink into a Robo, into a third, I would imagine.
And the Adept's actually going to get
So safer build out of Trigger.
as well. So he'll be able to see that tech lab on the starport. Probably presume there's a Raven on the way, which Cure did last game as well. I think it was pretty successful. It got a few probes, did its job. I think it's always a solid investment. And now we see the third base from Trigger.
Yeah, third base coming in now for Trigger. Cure is adding an engineering base, so it's not going to be a super heavy committed to base push.
It sounded like State was assuming that that Trigger wanted to deny the scout to go for a fourth gateway, but based on the timings and based on the lack of gateway, it did seem more like 3-gate blink into a third. So just really safe play out of Trigger.
Start to push towards that third base. And you gotta be able to kite with these blink stalkers all the way across the map, otherwise it will just be so punishing.
Yeah, and Trigger's so good with these Blink Stalkers. So decisive as well. One of the most decisive Protosses, I feel like. If he sees a tank out of position, he'll instantly blink on it, pick it off, that kind of thing. We see the charge follow-up.
Yeah, sometimes he doesn't see a unit out of position. He blinks it anyway. True. It's
throwing down some more gateways here as he just starts
and
to
it kills
power
him.
up here in the mid-game. Stim and +1 on the way for Cure. It's just a single eBay here. Here comes the Raven. Going to start to do a little bit of harassment.
Nice positioning.
Outer Turret should be able to get at least one probe here. Might even get a second. Yeah, it's 2 probe kills.
Three?
Get 3? No, not quite 3.
Whew.
Yeah, he can send that again later, or he can send it to the third.
What they're getting at here, Trigger, he's delaying a splash damage in favor of charge. You get into a gateway heavy composition. Likewise, once again, good positioning.
Raven. Oh, just lives. What's the HP on that? Oh, just 8.
Yeah, stalkers tickle ravens, man. Ravens never die to stalkers, let me tell you.
Yeah, that is the bane of Protoss players. That Raven just hanging out in the airspace forever, won't leave.
Scouts a
And
third.
this Observer does see the third base as soon as it goes down. Nice scout for Trigger, but we'll lose the Observer.
Yeah, it's important to see that third base because that's going to give you an idea of how committed the Terran is going to be. Whether there's a natural or a third base or not, Terran is still going to likely push towards your third base just because that's the way that the build tends to go. It's the best use of the units that you've had, especially those siege tanks, is typically to go for this push.
Ooh, I like this Stalker here, just spotting the move out of this double drop. So he knows about this very early. We'll have to run away with these Stalkers, but he sees the push come in. He's getting a single Forge at home for 1 upgrade, not being super greedy with 2 Forges. First Colossus on the way, as well as Thermal Lance. And if he could just pick off a couple units here, that would be really nice with these Stalkers.
Yeah, so far, well done here by Trigger. He's slowing this down, picking away at the army, chipping away at the Marines, and ensuring that he delays the push to buy time for a Colossus.
Right up there on the production tab.
Oh, can this Raven get in here once more? We'll see the 4th base. A nice scout putting this Raven to use. Curious moving
pushing
across the map right now. And he's even going to stim and try and... I mean, that was quite an ambitious
Bait's a stim.
Let's check the Stalkers aren't laying in wait there.
Nice out of Trigger.
Has his eyes set on
So it's the army.
4th base here of Trigger. Colossus just finished up. Thermal Lance nearly done.
Trigger getting in position. Zelta here, Colossus as well. He's ready. He wants the tanks. He wants them. He gets them.
Right away, the siege tank
oh my God.
will fall to these zealots, and the Colossus getting some good hits here. The initial engagement looks great for Trigger.
Yeah, that was a beautiful engagement there for Trigger. Colossus getting the shots in that they needed. Guardian Shield was right on.
Honestly, I'm surprised that Cure committed, right? Cure, he knew that he got scouted. He knew that he was being led all the way across the map, and Cure still went for it anyway, and Cure gets punished. Gets punished.
Cure back at home, he has been expanding. The third base is now being morphed into an orbital, so he's continuing to power up. And now Trigger, that he's been able to deflect that first push, he can start to do the same thing. You see him adding in the second forge, you see him adding in additional production facilities in terms of the gateways. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him take 1 or 2 more gases and eventually try to work up towards something like Storm, but if he decides to play it in a similar fashion to the way he did in game number 2, we might just see him build a Warp Prism after this next Colossus and really start to amp up the aggression.
Yeah, indeed. I think he lost another observer there, so he might want to make one of those at some point. It is a Warp Prism queued up, so we see that. Right now, Trigger's posturing at the front, just checking this Terran army is not caught out of position. The Vikings are ready, though. Trigger will just back up for the moment. I like that he's going into double forge as well. Get those upgrades going 2 at a time. Really try and get ahead in the mid and late game.
So getting into this Trigger, he is getting his Warp Prism to apply some pressure here. There might be an opening at the third base, but I mean, bringing up the double forge does tell us that Trigger is building up into a longer game, right? We're slowing things down in a sense. We're getting into a longer macro game. Cure so far is in position, but now we have a third Colossus. Can Trigger break this? He's going for it.
Pushes so far in this series.
He's committing.
Trigger's going to continue poking forward. And Cure might at some point just lift this orbital and pull the SCVs and go in for the engagement. I'm not sure if he has the Viking count to do that just yet, because there are 3 Colossi.
Where's that Prism? We're waiting for the Warp Prism.
Because otherwise, your SCVs are going to get decimated for basically nothing, right? With all that firepower. But as it is, Trigger just continuing to try and shave away a couple of bio units here and there, filling out the tech tree. Now we see disruptors being added in, more gateways, a Templar archive.
And never mind. So Trigger, he just pokes in, pulls away, builds up more upgrades. I thought they mentioned that there was a Warp Prism in production, but I guess not, unless it's just now joining. There it is. Took a while.
You're not being dropped in the main like we saw in game 1. You're not being flanked or anything like that. You know exactly what your opponent's doing. Maybe you don't want to overextend. He's doing a very good job of not doing that, just picking off what is safe to get and then backing up when he needs to.
Yeah, I have to be very careful here as Trigger, though, because if Cure eventually decides to go for the engagement, those Colossi are going to have a hard time retreating. So you kind of have to commit to the fight if you go for it here. And Storm isn't online.
Warp Prism has arrived.
Just now finished up.
Trigger, he's max. Now's the time.
Is this just going to be for Archives? Okay, no, we do have Storm being researched. So eventually there will be AoE back at home here for Trigger. Should Cure win the fight defensively.
There's so many Vikings, though.
Boras is continuing to push in towards this third base. This is the main mining base right now here for Cure.
Yeah, Cure cannot lose this base. Disruptor Shot just gets a single Marine there. The Marauder's stim forward. It's going to start to chip away at these Zealots, and neither side wants to fully go for this, but eventually someone will have to. The Vikings onto the Colossus right now. Blink back from Trigger. Does he want to actually take this fight? Colossus low in HP, both in the orange here. I'm not sure who this fight is good for. It feels like it should be good for Cure, but Trigger just keeping him at home right now.
No, this is
very difficult as the Protoss player in this situation.
They say it's better for Cure. Like, Trigger, he's trading. That's the goal here, to trade with the army while he gets a better economy, right? He's taking more bases, taking more expansions. Trigger just has to be very careful not to lose any high-tech units as he pulls away.
It's basically all minerals, very little gas. As Cure's going to be pushing the issue. He's actually going to fight right here in front of the third base. No storms yet. Vikings are able to take down every single Colossus.
Ooh, gets all 3.
But I think between all of them, there's maybe only 1 or 2 storms.
Wow, such a decisive fight here so far, but here come the High Templar. Can they change things? One falls immediately. So
finally, they have enough energy.
Yeah, the storms go down, but nice dodges here by Cure, keeping a lot of his army alive, even if it is low HP.
Yeah, finally, man, I was worried when those Templars showed up because there was only one that was really warped in quite.
Yeah, and a really rough fight for Trigger. Trigger losing all 3 Colossus. I don't know if you noticed, but Trigger, he committed to the fight, but he didn't actually bring his Prism in, so he couldn't micro. Like, he couldn't juggle back his Colossus. Otherwise, he could have been there to micro back, to preserve his Colossi, to get extra damage done as well, and to be able to add that extra complexity to his army. But the Prism wasn't a part of it. Was not a part of the main fight. He lost all 3 Colossus, and with that, Trigger is now in a rough position, considering Cure successfully expands.
Looking for. Storm goes down not too much. That High Templar will fall. Nice spread out of the army here by Cure. A big arc all the way in front of this base right now. Gotta be careful with these High Templars. They're going so far forward. This one will just get away. No, it won't get away. It will fall down. And Trigger trying to push the issue still.
He needs
another Viking right there. This Templar almost has enough.
Like, very quickly, Trigger, he needs to trade. This time, he's only losing Zealots. That's fine, right? Like, as long as he preserves a high Templar and Colossus, this is fine. Zealots that build to be thrown away. Trigger, he has 1,000 minerals in the bank. He wants to trade these Zealots. He wants to trade with the army.
Does not want to give these medevacs any time to gather energy and fully heal up. This bio is Kira now. He has to really rely on this planetary fortress to anchor the position.
Trigger, he trades well.
Yeah, well,
Picking up Marines, picking up Marauders.
Here. He's taking some really good fights, leveraging his better economy over time here. Nice spread out on these Zealots. Can send a few of those into the mineral line if he wants to. Start to hack away at these SCVs, do some economic damage, and Cure backs up, and Trigger takes that chance to kill a ton of these workers. Now going to move in with the
He's going in, the SCVs.
Super low, but just surviving.
24, 30.
Almost 30 SCVs go down already, Stave.
Yeah, the entire mineral line's destroyed right now. This Colossus even
and
gets
microed
back there by Trigger. There's only one Viking gets taken out. Colossus on maybe 1 HP. The bio's still
and
so
Trigger, he's done it. He snowballs out of control. He breaks the third expansion, kills 30 SCVs as well. As you were mentioning, it was a good thing for Trigger to be out here to be trading. He had to be careful. It was very scary when he lost to Colossus, but GG gets called and Trigger fights back.
We've got a series, guys. Trigger fights back, like you said. What a game. He was in control for so much of that game. Like, being so aggressive, expanding behind it, and it just felt like there wasn't really a good moment for Cure to take the engagement that he wanted, and then Trigger traded out his units with a better economy, just fight after fight after fight, ground him down over time.
Yeah, that looked really good for Trigger, and I was a little bit worried when he was starting to posture in front of the third base before he took any additional geysers, because Trigger did that in game number 2. He was in a great position. He was up in expansions. He was up in workers. His mining was better, but he stayed on 3 gases in that game number 2. And as a result, he's like, you know what? I need to commit. So he blinks on top of the siege tanks. He gets cleaned up. Cure fights back. Takes a game 2 that probably Trigger should have won. And then here in game number 3, we're seeing kind of the same story. Trigger went up to 4 bases. He was still staying on 3 gases. But eventually he decided to pivot. He took those gases at the 4th base. He added in the 2nd forge.
Yep.
And that allowed him to apply all of this pressure to Cure, to slow Cure's economic growth, to shave off a couple.
He took those gases in the 2nd forge before the moment that State is talking about.
I feel like that was a very keen insight that he had over game 2.
Just as a heads up. Like, State, he's giving us his rationale as to why he believed that Trigger was in a bad position when it was pushing into the 3rd base. But this, he's talking about him taking gases and getting the forge and stuff. Like, this was a decision made before Trigger moved out. So I'll stand by what I said about how Trigger, no, he was in a good position as long as he didn't lose his Colossus. Now, to be fair, to give credence to State's concerns about Trigger being there, Trigger did lose a Colossus, but that was on Trigger kind of miscontrolling, not having his Prism forward to micro back the units and to save the Colossus. So that was on Trigger. But for the most part, as they were kind of alluding to, bearing in mind, one of the reasons why Trigger was in such a good position was because he collapsed and shut down Cure's first push. That was on Cure for moving out, despite being scouted and kited all the way across the map. Trigger, they didn't give too much attention to it, but a lot of this game came down to Trigger doing an amazing job at keeping up with the push, rotating, at chipping away at the army, forcing out the early stim, buying time for the Colossus, buying time for the Chargelots, and that was the moment where Trigger gained map control. They kind of glossed over that, but I would focus and fixate on that moment, referring to the first tank push that Cure went for when he lost map control. But let's go. Let's jump in. Let us jump in.
Gotta be, right? I mean, you're not gonna make a factory by itself.
Of course. Okay.
Oh, you're just taking the roundabout way.
Yeah, eBay block.
Yeah. I suppose he wants to avoid the probe coming down to the main pipeline. All right.
Yeah.
Entering Bay block here in the natural expansion. I thought we might have a second proxy barracks there with that gas first,
I wanted
but no,
to see
instead it's
So they're questioning why Cure's SCV went the long way around. Just for context, it is common, it is normal for the SCV to go the long way around when you go for an eBay block, because you don't want the scouting probe to see the SCV coming to get a better idea as the eBay block that it's on the way, right? To get a glimpse of that, because then they can deny the eBay block. So you do want to hide that SCV when you go for the eBay block. It isn't just for like proxies.
Just going to be going into some of them more normal.
And it was successful. Cure, he forces the unnatural natural out of Trigger.
Just gets away there from the Marine.
And I wonder where Cure is going to go with this. It was a gas first opening, which means he can still go for the expansion if he wants to, but his tech is going to be a lot faster than it normally would be. We just had one Marine turned out.
So very quickly, Cure is expanding. They're talking about the faster tech. They're posing the question as to why. We can see reactors on the way. It should be for reactor Hellion. Now, as you can see here, add-on swap into Reactor Hellion. The reasoning for this is because Cure, what did he just do? He just forced the unnatural natural. He just forced Trigger to expand in a really awkward position. And what do we always say? It takes 3 Hellions to one-shot a probe. He's gonna have 4. He's gonna have 4 Hellions, and he can threaten those mineral lines, and he could even deal critical damage. Like, if Trigger's unable to keep up with these Hellions, they can end the game.
Could be good. The one thing you can say is that Trigger doesn't have a wall at his natural because he's taking this Nexus down there, so the Hellions might be able to run by if the units are at the 3rd or something. Right now, this Adept goes up to the top of the ramp. Oh, actually shades in back here to the middle. I'm trying to get this SCV. Oh, it will get away as the shot goes onto the Hellion, and the Adept will fall.
You're going to be repairing that Hellion, so this will buy Trigger a little bit of time, and you can see him just chrono boosting out those Phoenix. The Phoenix dispatch Hellions so quickly once they get lifted because they are light units. They just absolutely shred through them.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to come down to, can the Phoenixes find the Hellions before they get in a mineral line or anything like that? Oh, we're actually transferring
he evacuates
back home here.
Okay.
That's smart by Trigger. He knows that he can't cover both the main base and the 3rd base right now for the Hellions. The Phoenix are just a little bit too late.
And this is the advantage of the eBay block, right? You kind of make the Protoss.
He's ready to just fully wall off. He's ready for it. He fully walls.
The Hellions try to run by. Phoenixes get the good first pickup.
And now there's nothing at the 3rd.
One Hellion will fall. They run down to the 2nd base here. Only 2 probes, so can be a ton of damage. But they do fall.
Honestly, this might be the one time where it's a good idea to energy recharge a Phoenix. Just to lift up all these Hellions and clean them up, because the Graviton Beam is really the limiting factor right now in terms of these Phoenix being able to kill all of the Hellions. I wouldn't mind to see it.
No, I would love to.
So honestly, really nice defense here by Trigger. It was a bit of an extreme defense, but he had to, given the kind of early game state. So he shuts down the Hellions. Nicely done. As a result, Cure, he's a bit behind because he delayed his expansion.
The question now is, does Trigger stop making Phoenixes here? We do see the Twilight going down, so probably in the near future. Maybe this is his last one. And then just try to make use of these, pick off a few SCVs, stop the drop like he did in the other game. Oh, the Hellions actually finally get in, though.
I wouldn't mind if Trigger threw down a couple more Phoenixes, honestly. Just go up to 5 or 6, because it's going to be a long while until you actually have charge done. Oh, man. Come on, probes. Fight back. Fight back,
probes.
3 probe kills.
There we go.
Cool to arms there, the probes taking out that Hellion. Another Hellion falls down here as well. So I think overall the defense has been pretty good from Trigger, excuse me.
Yeah, but the next push is going to be very scary here for Trigger.
Yeah.
I mean, Cure's already got a ton of Marines turned out. This is 3 barracks.
So the downside of opening up Phoenixes, the plus side is that it's a little bit easier to defend against these Hellions, but the downside, of course, is that Phoenixes, they struggle here in this kind of position, as Phoenixes, they hit a lot of hits. Oh no! Z1! He gets 1.
Lock-ons here, spreading the damage.
Yeah, I love the double Cyclone here. It makes so much sense to be able
and again, it's going to be such a difficult hold. We have charge on the way, but this should be hitting pre-charge.
Tanks, the Phoenixes float around for ages, and it's harder to track those down, so I do like that. We see Stim behind this, making a ton of Marines. Finally now add in a starport, and a charge on the way for Trigger as well.
Yeah, charge's on the way, but only about halfway done.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wouldn't even mind some Stalkers getting warped in right here for Trigger, but I don't know how many gateways he actually has online. 2 more gateways are about to finish up. This pylon, the only pylon powering this shield battery, is going to be taken down. And Cure is being a little bit timid about
Stim is done in 10 seconds.
See what we could see, he would be getting a lot more damage done.
Now he's waiting for Stim.
This is a big moment of vulnerability here for Trigger.
Like they're criticizing Cure for not pushing in, but he's waiting for Stim. Stim is not done. He's going in. He dives.
Stim. The pylon immediately falls. The Protoss army is going to engage it with the probes, but do they have enough firepower? A ton of stuff already going down. The lift up on a few Marines. That Cyclone in the back doing so much damage.
Yeah, he kites so well. He kites so well against the Zealots. He breaks into the mineral line. Phoenixes are being focused on one after the other. They cannot lift. They're out of energy. He can't lift, Pappy. He's got like 1 more.
Zealots finally now charging in for the natural, but even the shield battery working
and he's done
them.
it.
They're excellent positioning here by Cure. And with no medevacs, no starport, just 3 barracks
just killing the base.
and a factory, he's able to push in. I think finally, Trigger's going to be able to stabilize just because there's no healing on these Marines. They're so deep in the red. But a lot of economy.
There's no stabilizing.
GG called. Cure is going to advance to the lower bracket semifinal, and Trigger's out of the RSL. But that was a very fun series.
And that's why Protoss open Blink usually. I love the Phoenix play. Like, I'm a big fan of Phoenix games, but it just seems so hard to deal with these early Terran pushes if they have the right unit comp.
Yeah, it really is. The Phoenix is good at dealing with the tech focused harassment like we saw in game number 1. The Widowmine.
GG, well played. Right now they're discussing like the Phoenix opener or the Stargate opener, and that is true. So very quickly, the reason why Phoenix openers did fall out of fashion and fall out of favor is because these all-ins and these early timings, it is so difficult to defend with Phoenixes. Because what can you do? You can lift up a Cyclone, you can lift up a Marine at a time, but it's not really the best use of the Graviton Beam, right? Like, Graviton Beams, they're ideal when it comes to harassing or picking off tanks or zoning away medevacs or just picking up these high-tech units, but against these early stim timings, these early bio pushes, that is where you do struggle. So once Curious saw that it was a Stargate opener, he went for the early stim timing. As we saw, Charge was a little bit too late, so Charge wasn't a big factor coming into it. There was also only one battery. Battery was depowered immediately as well, and Trigger could not hold, could not survive. It is very difficult to defend with Stargate openers. Like, that's one of the reasons why they fell out of favor over the past couple of years. But GG well played. With that, Cure, he will claim the series. He will advance on. Trigger is out of the tournament, and we're getting ready for our next and final series of the broadcast. It's going to be a TVZ between Björn and Rogue. Una mas, one series left. So for now, we're going to be going on a short break. And when we come back, we'll have our next series. We'll have that best of 5. See you soon after the break. See you soon.